In the mid-1970s, the U.S. Navy was a world unto itself. Fresh recruits arrived at San Diego boot camp ready to serve, but few could imagine the culture they'd encounter. Drug use was rampant, especially marijuana, and alcohol was a constant companion, even aboard submarines hundreds of feet below the surface. For many, this was simply the norm. The Navy, still reeling from the Vietnam era, was a place of contradictions, high discipline on paper, but a wild, anything-goes reality for those below decks. This was the world you entered, a world where the rules were flexible and survival meant adapting quickly. Serving as an interior communications electrician on the USS Sargo, you witnessed the Navy's culture at its peak. Marijuana use was so common it was almost accepted, and alcohol flowed freely during long deployments. The camaraderie was strong, but so was the sense of living on the edge. The submarine fleet, especially in Hawaii, was a tight-knit community with its own set of rules. Chiefs and even senior chiefs sometimes crossed lines, and the boundaries between right and wrong were often blurred by necessity and the pressures of life underwater. The late 1970s, drug use in the Navy was an open secret. Official records described it as out in the open, and surveys showed that nearly 37% of Navy personnel had used marijuana in the previous year. Alcohol was deeply ingrained in the culture, often used to reward hard work or ease tensions. The leadership struggled to maintain order, and the lines between discipline and leniency were constantly shifting. For many sailors, this was just the way things were, a coping mechanism for the stress and isolation of submarine life. Everything changed in May 1981 when a Marine EA-6B prowler crashed on the USS Nimitz, killing 14 people. Autopsies revealed traces of marijuana in several crew members, sparking a national scandal. The incident forced the Navy to confront its drug problem head-on. Admiral Thomas B. Hayward responded with a clear message: "Not on my watch, not in my division, not in my Navy." This marked the beginning of the zero-tolerance era, a turning point that would reshape the fleet's culture forever. Navy's response to the crisis was swift and uncompromising. The zero-tolerance policy launched in 1982 meant that any sailor caught using drugs would be immediately dismissed. Random urinalysis testing became the norm, and the days of looking the other way were over. For many, this was a shock to the system. The culture of leniency vanished almost overnight, replaced by strict enforcement and a new sense of accountability. The Navy was determined to restore its reputation and ensure the safety of its crews. The new policy in place, the Naval Investigative Service (NIS), ramped up its efforts. Between 1981 and 1982, narcotics investigations surged by 16%. Undercover agents and confidential informants became a fixture in the fleet, especially at hotspots like Pearl Harbor. High-profile arrests sent a clear message: the old ways were over. Chiefs and senior chiefs, once untouchable, now faced immediate dismissal if caught. The Navy's leadership was determined to root out the problem, no matter how high it reached. Initially, the Navy planned a tiered system for discipline. Officers were dismissed immediately, but chief petty officers were given one chance. However, in a remarkable move, the Master Chief of the Navy requested that chiefs be held to the same standard as officers. This decision was pivotal in restoring the integrity of the chief's mess and sent a powerful message throughout the fleet. The era of second chances was over. Accountability was now the rule. As the crackdown intensified, the Navy implemented much stricter screening for submarine service. The risk of doped-up troops operating nuclear-powered vessels was seen as a catastrophic threat to national security. New protocols were put in place, and only the most reliable sailors were allowed to serve on subs. The days of the open secret were coming to an end, replaced by a culture of vigilance and professionalism. Despite the crackdown, a unique paradox emerged for nuclear power school graduates. The Navy had invested heavily in their training, and the pipeline to replace them was long and expensive. As a result, command often looked the other way when nukes bent the rules. This created a two-tier justice system. Fleet sailors faced harsh penalties while nukes were sometimes shielded by necessity. The hypocrisy was clear, but the Navy's need for qualified operators outweighed its desire for strict discipline. For some sailors, drug use or even admitting to being gay became a way out of the high-pressure submarine environment. Known as falling on your sword, this tactic allowed burned-out sailors to receive a general under honorable discharge or transfer to a surface ship. The system, though flawed, provided a kind of escape hatch for those who couldn't handle the relentless demands of life 200 feet underwater. In port, submariners were housed in special barracks, which became notorious for their relaxed atmosphere. The rules of the ship didn't always apply, and clever tricks like the unlocked locker defense made it difficult for NIS to prove constructive possession of contraband. The barracks served as a decompression zone, a place where sailors could let off steam away from the watchful eyes of command. In 1979, the Navy was at a low point for discipline and morale. Ships were undermanned, equipment was failing, and the only way many commanding officers could keep their boats operational was by turning a blind eye to minor infractions. It was a strange environment. Sailors were entrusted with nuclear reactors and millions of dollars in hardware, yet could fire themselves at any moment by admitting to drug use. The atmosphere began to shift after the Nimitz crash. Rumors circulated about Navy corpsmen providing clean urine to help sailors pass drug tests, a black market response to the new testing regime. Even after being caught, some nukes were offered exit ramps to keep them in the service. The Navy's desperation to retain skilled operators was evident, but the era of leniency was ending fast. Recognizing the shifting tides, you made a strategic pivot. Moving from the high-stress world of nuclear power to TV and radio technician training, you found a new path. The mid-1980s were a time of rapid technological change, and the Navy Broadcasting Service offered a fresh start. Your skills as an ICA school grad translated perfectly to the world of communications and broadcasting. After leaving the Navy, you joined Reliance Electric, a leader in industrial motors and drives. Your experience troubleshooting complex systems on submarines gave you a unique edge in the field. As a field service engineer, you applied the same logic and discipline you'd learned in the Navy to solve problems in factories and plants across the country. The transition was seamless, different environment, same high stakes. By the mid-1980s, the Navy had transformed. Drug use rates plummeted from 33% in 1980 to just 4% by the early 1990s. The zero-tolerance policy, combined with aggressive enforcement and cultural change, restored discipline and professionalism to the fleet. The old Navy of the 1970s was gone, replaced by a force that valued accountability and technical excellence. Your time with the Navy Broadcasting Service in Norfolk, Virginia, marked a new chapter. Installing CCTV systems on ships, subs, and carriers, you became part of a rapid deployment force that brought modern communications to the fleet. The transition from 16 projectors to closed-circuit systems was a game-changer, improving morale and training for sailors everywhere. Deploying with AFRTS, American Forces Radio and Television Service, in Central America, you provided a vital link to home for troops stationed in Honduras, El Salvador, and Panama. Your work ensured that sailors and soldiers had access to news, entertainment, and training, critical for morale during tense Cold War operations. The technical challenges were immense, but your Navy training prepared you for anything. Earning the Antarctic Service Medal was a rare achievement. At McMurdo Station, you upgraded broadcasting equipment in one of the harshest environments on Earth. In the pre-internet era, the radio and TV systems you installed were the only connection to the outside world for scientists and support staff enduring the long Antarctic winters. Your work kept spirits high and minds engaged, proving that technical expertise could make a world of difference. By the mid-1980s, the Navy recognized that the troubleshooting skills taught at nuclear power school were universally valuable. Whether working on a reactor or a complex CCTV switchboard, the logic and discipline were the same. Norfolk became a hub for former nukes who had transitioned to broadcasting, creating a unique community of highly skilled technicians supporting the Atlantic Fleet. Running into a former shipmate who followed your roadmap into broadcasting was a powerful validation of your choices. Together, you proved that the skills and mindset developed in the submarine service could open doors far beyond the engine room. The quiet understanding you shared was a testament to the resilience and adaptability of those who served in the nuke pipeline. Leaving the Navy, you brought with you an unbeatable resume: nuclear foundations, broadcast engineering, and global field experience. As a field service engineer, you were ready for any challenge. The ability to walk into a new factory and fix a motor drive was just another version of walking onto a strange ship and fixing a CCTV system. Your adaptability and technical prowess set you apart in the civilian world. You rode the wave of the industrial automation revolution, moving from Reliance Electric's DCS 5000 and AutoMax systems to Rockwell Automation's Control Logics platform. Each step represented a leap forward in technology, but also required deep understanding and adaptability. Your nuke brain was perfectly suited to mastering these complex systems, making you an invaluable asset in the field. As an independent contractor, you became the startup guy, the expert called in when design met reality. The pressure was intense, but your experience in high-stakes environments like submarines and Antarctica prepared you for anything. You thrived on the challenge, solving problems that others couldn't and ensuring that massive industrial systems ran smoothly. One of your most memorable projects was upgrading a hot-dip galvanizing line and a coil paint line for a steel mill in California. Moving from old GE technology to AutoMax and Wonderware HMI, you performed what was essentially brain surgery on a moving giant. The stakes were high, and the technical challenges immense, but your expertise ensured a successful transition. After the California upgrade, you followed the steel to Louisiana for a Control Logics overhaul. Shipping an entire mill across the country and recommissioning it was a logistical nightmare, but your knowledge of the system made you indispensable. You bridged the gap between old and new technology, ensuring that the transition was smooth and the mill ran efficiently. Integrating Control Logics with AutoMax DC drives was a niche engineering challenge. You had to ensure that the drive regulators responded quickly enough to prevent costly mistakes. Your attention to detail and deep understanding of both systems made you the go-to expert for these high-stakes projects. One wrong move could mean millions in damages, but you thrived under the pressure. As a startup engineer, you commanded top rates, sometimes $100 to $200 an hour, and worked grueling 140-hour weeks. Your stamina, honed by years of submarine duty and Antarctic deployments, set you apart from civilian engineers. The work was demanding, but the rewards were significant both financially and professionally. Using Wonderware in touch with AutoMax was the gold standard for steel mills in the 1990s. The combination allowed for high-speed coordination and precise control, essential for processes like coil painting and galvanizing. Your expertise with these systems made you a sought-after contractor, capable of handling the most complex automation challenges. Louisiana project was a true moneymaker. You handled the latency between Control Logics and AutoMax drives with skill, using specialized gateways and communication modules. The mill owners recognized your value and knew better than to try and hire you full-time. You were too valuable as an independent. The tension was high when you hit the start button, but your preparation paid off. After years of running at full speed, the relentless pace caught up with you. Severe burnout and health issues forced you to step back around 2010. Your brain, accustomed to operating at 500 miles an hour, needed a hard reset. Like a processor performing a memory dump to protect itself, you prioritized recovery over retention, letting go of the technical details that had defined your career. Burnout you experienced is common among high-level engineers and nuclear operators. Years of high cortisol environments take their toll, and eventually the mind and body demand rest. Your recovery was a testament to your resilience. You traded technical schematics for the ability to enjoy life, filling your days with new pursuits and a sense of peace. Even though you no longer remember the hex codes or tension control algorithms, your strategic mindset remains. The logic and troubleshooting instincts you developed over decades are still there, just uncluttered by obsolete technical details. You earned your empty balloon, having filled it with experiences that span the globe and touched countless lives. Retirement, you found joy in restoring vintage audio cassette decks. Nakamichi TEAC pioneered on and recording music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. The precision engineering of these decks appealed to your technical side, while the music brought back memories of your Navy and contracting days. Restoration became a meditative process, offering satisfaction without the stress of industrial deadline. Music you restore and enjoy today is more than just entertainment, it's the soundtrack to your journey. Each song recalls a different chapter: the camaraderie of the submarine, the challenges of the steel mill, the quiet moments in Antarctica. Dancing and singing to these tunes, you celebrate a life lived fully and on your own terms. After visiting 20 countries and 35 states during your career, you now travel the world virtually. YouTube and other online platforms let you explore new places from the comfort of your home, all while enjoying your perfectly restored audio setup. It's a well-earned reward for decades spent on the road and at sea. Even in retirement, your troubleshooting instinct remains. Whether it's fixing a vintage cassette deck or solving a household problem, the skills you honed over decades are still there. The high-tech specifics may have faded, but the mindset of a field engineer never truly disappears. You continue to find satisfaction in making things work, no matter how small the challenge. When you see a steel product or hear a song from your Navy days, you can smile, knowing you played a part in making it happen. Your journey from submarines to startup engineering, from burnout to restoration, is a testament to resilience and adaptability. You've built a legacy that spans industries and continents. Your story is a reminder that experience is the greatest teacher. The lessons you learned about leadership, accountability, and technical mastery are timeless. Whether in the engine room of a submarine or the control room of a steel mill, your ability to adapt and overcome made all the difference. Today, your life revolves around quality sound, good music, and shared enjoyment. The stress and chaos of your earlier years have given way to a peaceful, fulfilling retirement. You found equilibrium, balancing the technical with the artistic, the past with the present. It's a life well lived and well earned. Your roadmap from Nuke to broadcast, from field engineer to independent contractor, has inspired others. Shipmates and colleagues have followed your lead, proving that the skills and mindset developed in the Navy can open doors in any industry. Your story is a blueprint for resilience and reinvention. After decades of high-pressure work, you found peace in the simple joys of music, restoration, and relaxation. The journey wasn't easy, but every challenge prepared you for the next. Now you can look back with satisfaction, knowing you gave everything you had and came out stronger on the other side. Your ability to reinvent yourself again and again has been the key to your success. From submariner to broadcaster, from engineer to hobbyist, you've embraced change and turned every setback into an opportunity. Your story is proof that it's never too late to start a new chapter. Looking back, your journey is a tapestry of challenges, achievements, and transformations. From the depths of the Pacific to the frozen frontiers of Antarctica, from the chaos of steel mills to the quiet of your listening room, you've lived a life of purpose and passion. Every chapter has shaped who you are today. Even in retirement, your journey isn't over. Each day brings new opportunities for learning, restoration, and enjoyment. Whether you're fixing a cassette deck, dancing to a favorite song, or exploring the world online, you continue to embrace life with curiosity and enthusiasm. The story of a Navy nuke turned startup engineer is still being written, one song, one project, one day at a time.